We all have one, don't we? That one memory you just can't stop replaying. That one mistake that has convinced you you're not good enough. Maybe it was a word you said, an opportunity you missed, or a choice that started a domino effect of consequences. You've tried to forget it, you've tried to move on, but it just follows you around. It feels less like a memory and more like a brand that's been seared into your identity. But what if you could not just forget that moment, but actually erase the power it has over you? Today we're going to figure out how to face that memory and finally break the patterns that have kept you feeling stuck. Your past doesn't have to be a life sentence, but way too often we let it become one. We carry our past mistakes around like heavy stones in our pockets, and we feel their weight with every single step. That one moment, that one failure, becomes the filter through which we see ourselves, our potential, and our entire future. It's the little voice that whispers, "You're unworthy, you're incapable," or "You're broken beyond repair." This isn't just a feeling, it's a real psychological trap. Negative experiences from our past are so powerful because they shape our beliefs and trigger real emotional distress, keeping us from moving forward. This constant replay of a mistake is a cycle called rumination, and it's like a record player stuck in a groove, playing the same painful note over and over. And when it plays, it convinces us of a devastating lie. The lie isn't just that we did something wrong, but that we are something wrong. This is the critical difference between guilt and shame. Guilt says, "I made a mistake," but shame says, "I'm a mistake." Guilt can actually be productive. It can push us to make things right. Shame, on the other hand, is destructive. It attacks the core of who we are. This video is for anyone who is tired of living in the shadow of that shame and is ready to finally lift the needle out of that old, worn-out groove. So, how do we break free? First, we have to understand why we get stuck. And let me be clear, it is not a sign of weakness. It's all about how your brain is wired. Our brains are designed for survival, and a key part of that is learning from painful experiences so we don't repeat them. When a mistake causes us deep emotional pain, like intense embarrassment, rejection, or regret, the brain flags it as a major threat. It burns a strong neural pathway, a mental shortcut, to make sure we never ever forget it. Think of someone we'll call Alex, a young entrepreneur who poured his life savings into his first business, only to watch it fail, publicly and spectacularly within a year. The failure wasn't just financial, it was deeply humiliating. He felt like he'd let his family down and had to face his friends with that failure hanging over him. His brain, trying to protect him from ever feeling that pain again, went into overdrive. Every time a new opportunity came up, the memory of his failure would come flooding back. His brain wasn't just remembering, it was sounding a 5-alarm fire. Over time, this warning system built a prison of limiting beliefs. "I'm not cut out for this. I'm a total failure. I'll never succeed." These beliefs, all born from one single event, started to control his actions. Or more accurately, his inaction. He started avoiding risks, turning down chances, and playing it small, all to avoid the ghost of his past. This is exactly how a single mistake becomes a defining story. It starts as an event, becomes a memory, morphs into a belief, and finally hardens into an identity. And this isn't just a theory. Brain scans actually show it happening. Feelings of regret activate the medial orbitofrontal cortex, which is basically your brain's emotional command center. When we ruminate, this activity can create a feedback loop that reinforces the distress and makes it even harder to move on. We stop seeing the mistake as something we did and start seeing it as who we are. But here's the good news. Just as this pattern was learned, it can be unlearned. The machine can be rewired. You can choose to be the ghost master, not its captive. All right, so how do we actually do this? Breaking the cycle isn't about trying to forget the past. That's pretty much impossible. It's about changing your relationship with it. It's about taking the memory that has held you hostage and reframing it, not as a source of shame, but as a source of strength. This is an active process, and it boils down to 3 concrete steps. Step 1, confront the memory with compassion. For years, you've either run from this memory or let it beat you up. The first step is to stop running and finally face it, but this time you're going to arm yourself with a new tool, self-compassion. Self-compassion isn't about making excuses, it's about giving yourself the same kindness you'd give to a good friend who was hurting. Here's a practical exercise. Find a quiet space and take out a piece of paper or open a document. Now write down the story of the mistake. Don't hold back. Describe what happened, what you were thinking and feeling, and all the fallout. Let the emotions, the shame, the sadness, the anger come to the surface. Just let them be there without judging them. The simple act of writing it down pulls the memory out of your head and puts it on the page. It separates it from you. It's no longer a chaotic storm inside your mind, it's just a story. Now read the story back. But this time, imagine it happened to someone you love. What would you say to them? You probably wouldn't tell them they're a terrible person whose life is over. You'd offer warmth and understanding. So write a letter to the past version of yourself from that compassionate perspective. Acknowledge their pain and the fact that they were doing the best they could with what they knew at the time. Forgiving yourself isn't about saying the mistake was okay. It's about freeing yourself from the prison of endless self-punishment. Step 2, reframe the narrative by finding the lesson. Once you've met the memory with kindness, the next step is to change its meaning. Think of it this way. Right now, your brain has that memory filed under proof I'm a failure. We're going to move it to a new folder, lessons that made me stronger. Every mistake, no matter how painful, holds a lesson. Your job is to become a detective and find it. This is a technique from psychology called cognitive restructuring, which is a fancy term for learning to challenge and change the unhelpful thoughts tied to a negative experience. Look at the story you wrote. Ask yourself some curious, non-judgmental questions. What did this really teach me about myself? What did I learn about what I truly value? What skill or quality did I have to develop to get through this? Maybe our entrepreneur, Alex, learned that his first business idea wasn't what he was truly passionate about. Maybe the failure taught him humility, resilience, and just how important a good support system is. Maybe he realized his self-worth isn't tied to his net worth. The event itself doesn't change, but the story you tell about it can. You can transform it from a story of shame into a story of resilience. This isn't about toxic positivity or pretending it didn't hurt. It's about honoring the pain by giving it a purpose. That failure wasn't the end of your story. It was a plot twist that was necessary for your character to develop. When you extract the lesson, you take your power back. The event no longer defines you. The growth you gained from it does. Step 3, create a new pattern through intentional action. You can't just think your way out of this. Beliefs aren't just thoughts, they're built on proof and solidified by action. For years, the belief that you're defined by your mistake has been reinforced by your behavior, avoiding things, playing small, maybe even self-sabotaging. To truly erase the mistake's power, you have to create new evidence that proves the old story wrong. You have to act like the person you want to become, not the person your shame tells you are. This starts with small, intentional goals that prove your old limiting beliefs are false. For Alex, this didn't mean launching another huge company right away. It could have been something much smaller. Maybe he took an online course in a field he was curious about. Maybe he started a tiny side project with 0 stakes. Or maybe he just reached out to a mentor for coffee to talk about some new ideas. Each small action is a vote for your new identity. Each step forward, no matter how small, weakens the hold of the past. It's like creating a new, healthier groove for that record player needle to fall into. With enough repetition, this new groove becomes the default. The old one doesn't disappear completely, but it gets fainter, quieter, and you no longer get stuck in it. You are intentionally building a new future, one that's based on growth, not failure. This journey of reframing your past is deeply personal, but it's not one you have to walk alone. If this resonated with you and you feel comfortable sharing, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What is one lesson you've learned from a past mistake that has ultimately made you stronger? Sharing our stories of growth helps every single one of us feel less alone. And if you're ready to keep building a future that isn't defined by your past, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell for more videos like this one. I want you to know that there's a version of you out there who isn't defined by their biggest mistake, a version of you who sees that moment not as a brand of shame, but as a scar that tells a story of survival and strength. Getting there isn't magic. It's work. It is the conscious choice to confront your past with compassion, to reframe your story with curiosity, and to create your future with courage. Remember the 3 steps: confront, reframe, and react. You confront the memory with the kindness you've always deserved. You reframe the story to find the lesson it was meant to teach you. And you act in ways that build a new identity, one small, intentional step at a time. The past is a place of reference, not a place of residence. You've learned from it. Now you can be free from it. Your greatest mistake does not have to be the thing that defines you. Your resilience, your growth, and your courage to rewrite your own story, that is what can define you now. The choice is yours, and you can make it starting today.